Everybody's going home. Broadway and 31st Street. Heading east on 31st. There's the Channel 5 CBS affiliate TV tower they built in the 1950s. Don't think they'd be allowed to build a structure like that these days. There'd be too many protests. And the price of real estate has gone up to the point where they couldn't do it. The controversy with that tower is when we have ice and ice accumulates on the tower and then it starts melting, it rains down on the buildings below it. It could be deadly. If you're walking below and an ice spear comes down, you might be going on a long trip. So every year they have to close this the street, generally from that intersection there to the blocks beyond, which I think have been turned into businesses. They usually have to shut down. I'm not sure what's in there now. They might be just houses. They look like they're just houses now. It's a little entertainment district. Martini Corner. A few restaurants and bars. Is close to Union Hill, which is a very old neighborhood, but also a pretty pricey place to live. Price of houses is not cheap, and apartments. A lot of it is gated. I'm gonna go have some, get some coffee. I need it. I need my coffee. Bump here at Sister Anne's Curb Check. No, Luke, you stay.
One plus one. STOP, stop.
I got 2 viewers. Hello, I'm going to get some world famous Kansas City barbecue. Kansas City is known for its barbecue. It comes from two things in our history: a large African American population, and the fact that Kansas City used to be the center of the meatpacking industry, because all the trails where the cattle were herded came up to Kansas City at one time, the railheads in Kansas and Kansas City. And so there was a lot of access to cheap meat in the city. And people would bring the poorer cuts of meat home, the poor people, meaning African Americans. And barbecue actually originated, the idea of barbecue, the way we do it, actually originated in the Haiti and places like that. So it spread up through the South, came to Kansas City. Excuse me. And Kansas City became known for its world famous barbecue. And, there's cuts of steak called the Kansas City Strip. So we're going to go to one of these barbecue places. I've been tasked with getting dinner for tonight, and I feel like barbecue. And this place is called Gates Barbecue. It was started by the Gates family. The patriarch of the family is Ollie Gates, and he became wealthy. He's got a lot of these restaurants throughout the town. They're kind of unique. They have their Gates sign in front and red roof, and of course the smokestack that puts out the barbecue smells, which you can smell for miles around. And when you go in there, they're told to be very, may I help you? And the way it comes out is, hi, may I help you? And it's just characteristic and funny. and kind of a trademark of Gates. And you know, there's other barbecue places in town. One of the older ones is Arthur Bryant's. Their flavor is unique. They're kind of really old school. And then there's LC's, which I don't think has been open recently because of the beer flu. And we have an annual cook-off of amateur barbecue people called the Lenexa Barbecue. It's a town over on the side, over in Kansas, called Lenexa. And won a group that used to win over and over and over again, created their own restaurant, and they call themselves Oklahoma Joe's. Well, they're not from Oklahoma. Well, they may be from Oklahoma, but they call themselves Oklahoma Joe's, even though the restaurant was located here in Kansas City on the Kansas side. You know, here's Gates right up here. I'm going to go around to the other side. The entrance is kind of narrow. And now they're just called Joe's Kansas City. They've decided to drop the Oklahoma part because I guess it was confusing people, but we still call them Oklahoma Joe's. And if my sniffer was working any better, you could smell the food, the barbecue for a long ways off here. Going to be stepping into Gates, which is also one of their trademark. Let's see, this car is wanting to go the wrong way. Oop. This guy looks really confused. Oop. Now he's trying to back into us. You know, it's... Yeah, he's going to do what I was going to do, actually. He's going to back into that spot. So I'll back into this spot. It's kind of hard to back into these spots when they're oriented the wrong way. You know, we can do it. Now I see what he was doing. He was going the wrong way, so I could back into these spots here. Because I'm not going to take the live stream into the restaurant. I don't think they would appreciate that. They like to be told before you get video of them and their customers. But I'm going to definitely get a view of it so that while we're in there, there's something to look at. Of course, parking this way, the way the lot is oriented, then I have to... Things I do. Alrighty. We're here, we're queer, get used to it. Yes, Bobby, I've tried Hawaiian Brothers, actually, and my wife really loves it. But I chose Gates. Her first suggestion was, I don't know, she's Filipino, so she likes Asian food. So her first suggestion was something Chinese or whatever. She loves to do Chinese restaurants. We did Hawaiian Brothers in North Kansas City. Anyway, I'm heading in with the kiddo. Oops, dang thing. Yeah, we're heading in with the kiddo, and I'm taking my Osmo 2. No, it's not called the Osmo 2, it's called the Pocket 2. DJI Pocket 2. And I love this thing because it's got this great little wireless mic I guess I could tuck it in if I wanted to. It looks like I've got a baby tribble on my shirt. But nobody's come up to me and said, "What is that?" And then there's the pocket. And it's got the, what do you call it, the do-it-all handle. It's got a microphone input and the wireless receiver. And the quality of this thing is outstanding. So anyway, we're heading in. Craving Chinese. Yeah, this is called a dead cat. And mouse, not a dead cat. Man, I'm gonna mask up. Alrighty, back to the other camera. I love how when you do this, you get a big finger in the shot. There's Gates. Yeah, it's nice, and it doesn't actually cost that much money either. The price of good, decent equipment is crazy. Oh, it even comes with a wide-angle lens adapter. Its own design. It works well with the gimbal itself. How is the wireless? Yeah, the wireless is actually really good. I haven't had hardly any problems. I think it's maybe tried to drop once or twice, but it's very comparable to the Rode wireless. So at least with this thing it works well. I wish they designed it in such a way that you could use it with other things, but I'm not really complaining that much. So anyway, here we go. Woohoo! All right, Luke, come on. All right, we're come on. We are. I might help you. Kansas City's own Gates Barbecue. We're stepping out for Gates. Oh, I bet it was torture. Bet there'd be many days you would be like, let's do lunch over there. And if you couldn't, you'd be like, ugh. My sister worked at a place that was around here. Elko Camera. Does that sound right? It was a unique place because the family that owned it, one of them was really into fishing, fly fishing. So he had all this high-end fishing gear on one half of the store, and then the other half was all cameras and camera equipment, and they sold video cameras. This was back like late 80s, early 90s, and what was it? They carried the Canon A1, which I dreamed about getting. I never did. It's probably why I'm all the time spending too much money on video equipment now, because I went without for so long, dreaming of buying this stuff. But I'm glad that I didn't go crazy back then, put myself into debt trying to buy that stuff, because camera equipment has gotten much cheaper and much better now. I mean, you can do so much more now with so little. Back in the 90s, oh man, one of the biggest things was editing. You couldn't buy editing equipment. It was just beyond anybody's price range. In the mid 90s, they came up with an editor. JVC came up with this editor. It was like a 2-machine, and it was supposed to be the bee's knees, and it cost $7,000. That's as cheap as it got. And all it could do was just tape to tape cuts only editing, and it wasn't really, in the end, it wasn't really that good. And it was limited in its capabilities. A Beta machine, Beta SP, Beta, eventually Beta SX, which is a digital version of Beta, but Beta SP, or just standalone Beta, for each machine cost about $50,000 originally, and then eventually they got it down to $30,000. And then when I went to work for Sunflower Cable, they came up with the cheapest Beta machine yet, and it was somewhere around $15,000, $16,000. The Beta cameras, I remember the first time I ever saw one was at the Artists for Amnesty show, and a photographer from Channel 5 showed up, and I went over and talked to him, and he said, oh yeah, this camera I have is a $50,000 machine, and this is a cheap one. So a lot of them are $60,000, $75,000. So yeah, it really priced us out of the market. Now, you know, an iPhone is so much better than that Beta camera ever was. And what's very important to that is the result it has on democracy. Because now people can shoot and edit in their phone and send it out, and it's authoritarian governments or whatever, even the people, the stupid people in Washington were shooting video of themselves and they're the ones who are like trying to turn this country into an authoritarian dictatorship, and they were putting out evidence of themselves. So I don't know, it's a double-edged sword. It can cut both ways, but intelligent hands, or even when it's put in silly people's hands, it still has, I'm trying to get over for the damn Combs, a woman in a BMW. What, do you want me to drive the cones, knock over the cones too? Sorry, I was showing my misogynistic side there. I didn't mean to say it like a woman. I just kind of mean it like, lately I've seen a lot of really aggressive women driving cars, and the convertible BMW just, I don't know, it just rubs me the wrong way. Yes, I know I swerve sometimes, but it only takes about an inch and somebody's laying on their horn. $240i. It's got the what is that? I got a friend that I know who races BMWs. It's got the now I don't know that much about them, so it's got the little racing stripe on the back, little BMW. All right, have a nice day, Miss BMW. Oh yeah, I was babbling on about cameras again. I don't like talking about gear, actually. The thing about gear is it's good and fine, but you can have the best gear in the world and still not produce anything. I'm more interested in, like, I'm not even really talking about projects. I'm just interested in seeing what people produce. And lately, a lot of this stuff that I like, quite honestly, has been shot on people's cell phones, because it's the content that they put out, and the way they do it is more important, even if it's not the most technically beautiful. Now, I don't like, one of the first things I do when I see somebody who's vlogging is I don't like it when it's all shaky and terrible, and, you know, wind noise and you know, especially if they hold their phone sideways. It's, you know, there's so much equipment out there, gimbals and cameras and stuff. You can fix that easily. Looks like a delivery. Yeah, you can fix that very easily, and so I don't know. You know, the other thing is, with a cell phone, you can get away with more because everybody has cell phones and people shoot a whole blog or whatever, vlog. But I like it when people share their world, and to me, it's almost a turnoff when they overproduce it. Like, it's all cinematic and beautiful, and there's a couple on there that I've watched, and then I've kind of lost my appetite for it because they spend so much that they're trying to make a point that they're being artistic. And as an ENG shooter, I've come up with I've been brought up with the belief that if you draw attention to your technique or anything, you've destroyed what you're trying to do, because it's the story that's important, not how you shot it or what you used. Or, I mean, you know, if you use a drone, then you use it to help tell the story. You don't use it just to use a drone. A lot of the people who are vloggers, again, they throw a drone up in the air, and you can immediately tell they really don't know that much about what they're doing. They don't do the beautiful crane shots or anything. But so what? They're just trying to establish that there's this beautiful park that I'm in, and here, look at this. I want to share some beauty with you as part of my story. You know? So I don't grade as hard on. Now, as you go along, you learn things, and you can make it accentuate. But again, when you accentuate your story, it's the story that's the most important. It's not how you're shooting the story. Who cares about that? Nobody cares about that. guys who go out, or ladies or whatever, go out and do the most beautiful cinematographic work. They should be working for Hollywood. And you see them with only 5 hits on their videos. And then you see the guy doing like a stupid cell phone vlog, and he's got 1 million hits, you know. It's because people they like what they're doing. They're entertained by it. And there's some things with YouTube analytics that helps. I haven't figured out the YouTube analytics. I fly under the radar. Sometimes I'm happy with that. Sometimes I'm like, gee, I'd really like to be able to make a living on YouTube. But not with 1 or 2 hits on my videos. So I talk about gear, I guess, when it's entertaining to me, but I'm not a big gearhead. And some people say, well, you should know your gear. You should know what each and everything does and da-da-da. Like, yeah, I have the gear. Matter of fact, I'm working on a camera that I have, the Blackmagic camera, which its biggest drawback is it doesn't have a viewfinder you can use in bright daylight. The viewfinder that's on the screen that's on the back is too dark. You can't see anything. Half the shots I've been shooting on it have been either overblown or out of focus or whatever. And so I just got a Portkeys viewfinder for it today. Now I'm trying to figure out how to mount it, and I have to get a proper cable for it. But it has its own, I was really surprised, it has its own power cable, which plugs into the battery that I have for the camera. So yeah, I'm going to test it out someday. Someday there'll be an ENG situation, and I'll go out and shoot it and bring it back to the station and say, hey, I shot this. And of course the producers will probably ignore me and go, I don't care. We got this cell phone video that this guy shot. We're going to use that. He held it sideways. Portrait, not landscape. That, editor. I'm like, no, I can't fix stupid. I never have understood why producers do that, why they prefer a lot of times badly shot cell phone video over their own in-house photographers. Now I understand part of it. There's so few people working in-house that people catch things with their cell phones because they were there on the spot and got it and are eager to share it with the world. That I understand. What I don't understand is when, you know, like it rained the other day or it snowed the other day, and we're using lousy sideways video left and right I'm like, but we have people who did a beautiful job shooting it, you know. I don't understand that choice. Never understood that choice. The one thing that I do have to work harder on is, and maybe I need to get into Adobe After Effects. I've tried Motion by Final Cut, or Motion by Apple, which works with Final Cut because I use Final Cut, but you know, After Effects I believe works with Final Cut too. Not as good as Motion because that's sort of the Apple in-house animation software, but you know, a lot of that is good for the flashy stuff like most of it is used in the intro, and then like generating moving graphics and things like that. You can get by without it, and actually when you start, probably not use it until you learn how to tell a story with just one camera, cuts only, using good professional techniques. Because there's a lot of people that, one of the worst habits of people is what I used to call the MTV effect, where they shoot really, really sloppy. They don't use a tripod. They don't compose their shots. They don't do the ABCs of their shooting, and then they use all these technological gimmicks to try and make it look flashy and intelligent, and if you're not telling a story with your efforts, and all you're doing is just playing with the toys, the effects. And back in the 90s, it used to be strobe was one of the more popular effects. Strobe and paint. Shoot like shit and then use strobe and paint, and it looks like you were working for MTV. That's why we called it the MTV effect, because MTV used to have this like technique where it was all handheld and sloppy looking and quick snap zooms, and then you get into college, and one of the first things a college professor tells you is zooms are evil. And we argued with the guy. We hated it, that whole zooms are evil philosophy. But then, you know what? It turned out he was right. Zoom with your feet, not with your lens. Go stand close to something. Unless you're using the zoom for the effect of making the foreground and the background appear as one plane. And then there's this new Japanese word that it's not a new word, but everybody's gone crazy about. And it's also one of those things that I think is very gimmicky. But it is beautiful when done right. It's called, now some people call it bokeh, but I think it's actually pronounced bokeh. Bocheh. And it's the kind of thing, and you can do it with just about any camera. People think, oh well, you need a cinematographic mirrorless or a SLR camera. No, you can do it with any camera. The quickest, simplest way of doing it is have your subject in the foreground real close to you, and that'll knock everything in the background out of focus. But there are also things you can do with the iris, and I've forgotten. I have to experiment around with it again because I haven't done it for so long. But if you increase the iris, it'll change the focal length. Either make the background disappear more or make the background come more into focus, depending on what you want, depending on how you're trying to tell that story. And the argument is everybody wants to shoot with bokeh and make it all look cinematic and beautiful. And then they're screwing up their story because, like a walk and talk video where you're walking around and talking and you're pointing at things. Well, it's hard to do that if you made your background out of focus because it looks neat. No, it doesn't look neat. It's stupid. Use a wider lens. Include your background. Be in the environment that you're talking about. Use a stabilizer, a gimbal, or cut two shots that are cut close-up shots. So that when you're talking about something and you say, this is a beautiful flower, you either have it in the shot with you, or since the flower is usually small and you're bigger, you cut to a close-up of the flower, or you smoothly with a stabilized camera or gimbal go in on the flower. Usually people do that for time because, vlogging is like run and gun. But with a beautiful camera, real nice, the Sony a6300, an APS-C mirrorless camera, does a good job. Beautiful job. People go, oh, that looks like it should be in Hollywood. I'm like, well, yeah and no. I mean, don't compare a small camera with a big expensive camera, because the reason why the big expensive cameras are used in Hollywood is because, well, the results are truly cinematic, and also you can blow it up on a huge screen. Whereas when you take even your high quality small camera and blow it up on a big screen, it looks like, oh, what was that movie? Blair Witch Project. All shot on a high-8 camera. People will always say that, and it's never true. Oh, the gear. Like, I remember I got a high-8, and I was like, I used to go around and say, I got videos of me saying this to people, it's broadcast quality. No, it's not. I learned the hard way it was not broadcast quality, because I tried to use it in a broadcast setting, and it turned out it looked like ass. I never understand people go around with a cell phone and they turn it sideways. What is with that? I wish there was a way that when you shoot, you can tell the phone, all right, no matter which way I orient the phone. So even if you hold it sideways, and I do have, I don't know if it's truly doing it or not, Switcher Studio, an app that I have on my phone for switching. I've noticed if I hold it sideways, and I experimented with that and hold it sideways, it shoots 16:9. Now I don't know if that's a full resolution 16:9 or if it's cropping it somehow. But I've used that like as in I don't work as an ENG shooter anymore professionally, but like if you're doing an undercover thing, well, everybody has a phone, and you take the phone, you stick it in your shirt pocket, which a lot of photographers have shirt pockets for this reason. You stick it in your shirt pocket and you hit record, and you have a device that's visible, but it's doing an undercover camera job. I hate doing that, by the way. I don't find it fun. I don't like it. It's hard to get any kind of quality out of that kind of stuff. You're always turned sideways, including the phone. When you stick it in your pocket, you always end up shooting your armpit anyway. The audio is usually crap. And the reason for doing it is usually questionable in the first place, There was one TV station here in town that was overhyping the undercover. They were going to go and catch people doing bad things and chase them down, and their newscasts looked like one solid chase after another, and they didn't care who they really hurt. I went to a scene one time where a woman was murdered by a home invader, an older woman, and there was a camera crew there shooting, and they were told, you need to shoot everything. If somebody shows up, starts crying, you get right in their face and you shoot them. That was their philosophy under their news director. Well, the daughter showed up, and the first thing she sees is police, news media on her lawn, and she's like, what's going on? What happened to my mother? Is she all right? And they said, no, she's murdered. And the girl just completely freaking out and melting, and they aired it within as quick as they could at the top of their newscast. Look at this, we got drama as a daughter finds her mother murdered in her house. And then I show up with my TV station. Go check on this. There's a homicide that happened. Go get some video. And I get there, and the neighbors are ready to lynch me because I'm in the news media. They're ready to kill me because of some stupid, disrespectful thing that this poor crew was forced to do by their idiot news director. You know, be respectful. When people really realize that this dramatic video you got came at a human cost, people are actually horrified by it. And it backfires on you. And it did on them. The people who drank the Kool-Aid and eventually found themselves hard up to get a job anywhere. Nobody respects that. Nobody thinks it's cool or fine. As a matter of fact, this is one of the big complaints about news media that people have is the insensitivity, the inhumanity of that. You know, another story was we were at a murder-suicide, and all the TV stations were there going live. And the funny thing was, you can tell people knew when we were going live because they were standing around, they were laughing, they were talking, you know, all these gawkers were there. And then the reporter would stand in front of the camera, and almost on cue we'd go live, and people would just start breasting down, crying, "Oh my God, this is terrible." I'm like, these people don't even know the family who lives here. And one of the aforementioned TV station that had the psycho news, because all the scene was in the backyard of this place, and he ran around and trespassed on the property, which is a no-no, by the way. Nobody can trespass. If a citizen can't, news media can't either. And he ran around back and was shooting video, and the police about arrested him. And yeah, look at this car. And he's going to hit his brakes right in front of me. That was really brilliant. I was so much paying attention to you. Never mind. So anyway, yeah, a guy about got himself arrested, but his news director was proud of him. You did your job. You get to keep your job for another. Get for doing that and getting extra pay or anything. Just, you get to keep your job. Because they were threatened with their jobs if they didn't do certain things. I mean, this was how psycho it was. And this was stuff that just went above and beyond decency and respect. Or, I mean, way below, I guess. I don't know how I'm saying. I'm just trying to say that decent. And you know, when you're trying to get a story, many people I've worked with, we've all found it works better to be nice, to be respectful. Maybe you don't get the tears shot, the screaming and wailing, but then those people might come up to you and say, "I like you. You guys treated me well. I'm going to talk to you. I've composed myself. We'll give you our story. You seem to be decent people. You're here for good. You're not here to just invade our privacy." That worked over and over and over again. Empathy always worked. Beats out the bullshit. But the psycho news director had an answer for that too. That if They will not talk to us. They will not talk to anyone. We will piss them off so much that they hate all news media and won't have anything. They'll have such a traumatic experience with us that they won't talk to anybody. And that worked too. That psycho news director went to another market and was fired. I don't think he's a psycho news director anymore. He's a psycho something else, probably. Yeah, don't quote me on that, because people will look up everything I say and figure out who I'm talking about and go, oh no, he's like the head of the network. I don't care how much success you get in life. If you do it the wrong way, might as well not do it at all. I have known many people who like to take shortcuts. Sometimes I've done that myself. I'm not innocent, but every time I've done it, it doesn't seem to work out for me. It's like, oh, you're cheating. To get gas. Our favorite gas station chain is Quick Trip. You can't find them in a lot of parts of the country. And one of the first things that I use to judge convenience store / gas station are their bathrooms. Some places treat their bathrooms, and thus the people who become their customers, like, why are we doing that? That didn't get us anything. Talk about taking shortcuts. Gas stations that take care of their bathrooms have clean bathrooms. Relatively clean. As clean as a bathroom can be with so many people going through it. Isn't it funny? The Quick Trip I'm going to is in the location. It used to be across the street, but it's at a better location now. They closed up the one and moved it from the Quick Trip at one time. It was another gas station chain. And with their inconsistent quality and their nasty bathrooms, so you would have a Quick Trip that wasn't as well located. I mean, you have to cross traffic to get to it and everything. Most of the traffic goes this way. Wasn't as well located, but yet sometimes there would be a line of people waiting to get gas and go in the store and buy things and go to the bathroom, do whatever. See, where that World Liquors is right there is where the Quick Trip, that's the old Quick Trip building. And they moved it across the street here, built their new Quick Trip. And what was here was another gas station. And, the people can complain, well, it's not as good a location as the other one. It was like, no, it was a better location. You had the better location. You just had a lousy business / customer relationship. Prices of everything in convenience stores is the same. We all know that the price of gas is the same. The only place I can get cheaper gas, and that's something else that Quick Trips are known for, is that they do have generally cheaper than everywhere else. But that's within a penny or two. The only place that's cheaper is Costco. Or Murphy's, which is a part of Walmart. Gas. Woo-hoo. Alrighty. Quick Trip, what I remember, was started in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I don't know. My phone is being used to live stream, so I can't look it up on Wikipedia. It was either 1969 or 1959. I think it was 1969. They have a lot of decent items, good things. They have their own. I think there's one up here in Kansas City, up in Belton, place where they make their own food and everything and sell it in their stores. They make their own sandwiches, and they're okay. Some of the Quick Trip things are really delicious, like taquitos and their hot dogs, but they're not very good for you. Then they've started Quick Trip kitchens where they actually have a lot of the stuff they kind of like make in their own, and the Quick Trip pizza is definitely pretty good. Not as good as Casey's. Casey's is another gas station chain I like to go to, but I don't go to Casey's as much. Casey's are usually located in small towns, not in. I don't go as much because I am always so tempted by their pizza. And donuts. They have good donuts too. Donuts. But when I go storm chasing, I usually break whatever diet I'm on because it's become my storm chasing food of choice to eat Casey's pizza. And yeah, the storm chasers do that. There's some that when they're done, mostly for the day or even during the chase, they kind of go, I'm gonna do a habitual good luck kind of thing, and mine is stopping at Casey's. Because when I start storm chasing, then I'm like, I want some pizza. Alrighty, we are almost home. So I'm not going to drive you to my door. We can pretty much guess where I live, so not much point in that. I'm just... So I'm going to end it here. Yeah, the streets are finally somewhat cleared. Although I'm not sure if we ever saw a snowplow up here. I think City of Kansas City is trying to plow a lot of their main streets and forgetting. I wish they would have like priorities. They put priorities not necessarily on streets, but on places where people slip, like hills and things like that, and at least get those. But anyway, ta for now. Hee hee.